Morning everyone, it is a Sunday morning here in Estella. I'm headed to the bus station to make my way to Logroño. Not quite the week that I expected to have, but it's the week I got.
My ankle was starting to feel better, but my knee was still hurting. So it was just like any other travel day during the Great Gallivanting. Another day, another bus ride.
My name's Jack Rogers. In June of 2023, I decided I'd had it with normal life and set out to travel the world. 2 years later, I'm still going. I've seen some cool things in my time. I've swam the Nile, followed a matador around Spain, dived the world's oceans, and even returned to Iraq after 5 years away. Now I'm off on my next expedition, an 18-month trek through some of the world's most fascinating pilgrimages. My journey will take me to 12 countries as I walk in the shoes of religious pilgrims, ancient traders, and soldiers who blazed these trails centuries ago. This isn't just another trip. Unlike my first journey, I won't be walking the earth aimlessly. This is a chance to walk with purpose, to trace the footsteps of those who move for faith and survival. These routes carry stories, and I intend to find mine among them. I've never attempted anything like this before, but after 2 years of discovering what this world has to offer, I'm ready to take the plunge into some of life's deeper meaning. I'll be tested, physically and mentally, but I know in the end, it will all be worth it as I become a wayfarer.
Hey guys, Jack here. Welcome to episode 2 from the Wayfarer Expedition. Oops, my sweatshirt back there trying to fly away. So, I've made it to Logroño from Estella on the bus. Now I'm walking about a 15 to 20 minute walk to my hostel here in Logroño. And you may notice I don't have my walking stick I'm walking with because, as my friend Raleigh would say, I'm a dum-dum. And I accidentally left it at the cafe this morning. So, got 2 new braces on, so that's just gonna have to work.
I don't know what I was expecting from Logroño. I knew it was a provincial capital, but on the Camino de Santiago, I was expecting small cities almost the entire way. That is not at all what I got. Logroño is a sprawling city with high-rise apartments and major businesses surrounding the old historic part of town. Even so, being situated on the Ebro River, it's been an important stop for pilgrims over the centuries. Just like them, I was taking time in the city to stop, relax, and recoup from the journey so far.
So something to know about taking the bus along the Camino, as I have been. They are not pleasant bus rides because they're on Navarre and Spanish back roads, because these buses connect the pueblos to the ciudades. So you could take the highway, but then you would miss every small town that needs a bus service. So you're constantly going up and down around switchbacks, around traffic circles, sudden stops as people step out on the road. And if you get motion sick like I do, or like my friend Joe does, it's very difficult, especially considering they don't really have any air blowing out of the vents, so you can't get any relief. Luckily, on the Camino, I'm only skipping 1 or 2 stages at a time, which means my bus rides are only 30 to 50 minutes, sometimes an hour. But it is not for the faint of heart if that's something that gets to you. And I'm glad to be in a big city like Logroño right now. One, so I can have, a nice hamburger, but also because I have the option of taking the train to Burgos if I so desire. That's still to be determined, but I'm just glad to have the option to get on a nice train. So it's the morning of my exploration day in Logroño, and let me tell you, I have had a morning. First off, I wake up and everyone's still in the room. I was expecting everyone to be gone because everyone in there is walking the Camino except me. But no, everyone's still there. Second, there's a dude who took an hour in the bathroom, right? In the shared bathroom, there's 2 sinks, 2 toilets, 2 showers for everyone. You can't take an hour in the bathroom in a hostel, right? I absolutely hate it. I don't even brush my teeth in the bathroom. I wet my toothbrush, brush my teeth outside, so I use the sink, and then I go back in and brush. 3, I couldn't find my belt this morning. It wasn't where I thought I put it, So now my entire bag has been torn apart, which means I have to repack it, which, as Joe knows, any traveler knows, if you have to repack your entire bag, that is a process. So that'll be me tomorrow before I leave. With that out of the way, I'm going to get coffee, and then I'm going to explore Logroño, including the beautiful cathedral you can see right behind me there. So hopefully it's a good day.
I developed a habit of doing my daily Bible read over my morning coffee. I really enjoyed it. It was a great way to start the morning, as there wasn't a lot of hustle and bustle and distractions going on. Naturally, not everything went right this morning, as I put mayonnaise on my sandwich mixto, which everyone knows is wrong. It is ham and cheese, and that is it.
I'm currently walking across the bridge that goes into the old city part of Logroño from the north, and it crosses over the Rio Ebro, the Ebro River. And this is not just another river in Spain. This is the river that James the Greater was preying on as he was having struggles ministering in Spain, when, according to Catholic doctrine and history, the Virgin Mary appeared to him, and that image is captured in the Virgin of Pilar, which is the primary patroness of the country of Spain. And in that Marian apparition, she encouraged James to continue preaching, to continue ministering, even though he was struggling here in Spain. Significant because that is the only Marian apparition, according to Catholic doctrine and lore again, that occurred while Mary was still alive. It's the only instance of what's called bifurcation that they have in their history, which, if you're Catholic and you believe that, it's pretty amazing. Even if you're not Catholic and you don't believe that, it's still, amazing to me that happened in about 40 AD, I think it was, that here we are almost 2,000 years later, and that tradition still holds on this very river that I just walked over as a real place. So I just think that's really cool, and it's along the way of St. James, the Camino de Santiago, which is just another part of the pilgrimage that unfortunately I don't think a lot of pilgrims understand the significance of this river. The Camino is literally right up here, and if they just walk 200 meters that way, they could see such an important part of the Camino's history. Also, the weather's in that awkward stage where it's too cool not to wear long sleeves, but it's too warm to wear long sleeves. So I'll probably be going back and forth between the white collared shirt and the red pullover.
The last church you see as you leave Logroño on the Camino de Santiago is the Iglesia de Santiago del Real. In English, the Iglesia of St. James the Royal. Logroño is interesting because before there were established churches like this one, there were little cave churches. It's said, though unprovable, that a bishop established a church on this site, right where St. James himself once preached. While the legend is unprovable, that church did exist, and it was destroyed by a fire in the 1500s, and it was replaced by this one.
Funny things that happen on the Camino. I just ran into Bibi, who is a Brazilian woman. I don't know if I mentioned her in the last episode, or I know I've mentioned her in my shorts. That's walking the Camino. She had a hard time a couple days ago, but got to reunite as she was on her way out of town, so that's kind of cool.
Just a 10-minute walk up the Camino de Santiago from the Iglesia de Santiago del Real is the Iglesia de Santa Maria de Palacio. This church was built in the year 1130 at the order of King Alfonso VII. His intent with this church was to bring the Order of the Holy Sepulchre into the city. That's an order of the Catholic Church based in Jerusalem. I happened to visit at a time where a lot of the community was coming in to say daily prayers. I couldn't help but notice the age difference between them and me. Even though I know there's a difference between those who are retired and have time during the day and those that need to work, it still saddened me just to see a bunch of old people in here instead of the younger generation. Catholicism was still strong in Spain, but in modern Europe, secularism was increasingly popular. Or at least, Christianity was increasingly unpopular. The Iglesia de San Bartolomé is allegedly the oldest church in the city. That said, its foundation dates to about the same time as the Iglesia de Santa Maria de Palacio, so I think that's up for debate. This was a simple church, with no ornate retablo or massive organ. As a traveler, it might have been a little boring, but I really appreciate the simplicity in churches like this. It really just drives home the whole point of why they exist.
So this bridge behind me is called the Puente Piedra, literally the stone bridge, because it's made of stone. Now the current bridge you see there is only 120, 130 years old. I say only. In the United States, that's like half our history. In this part of the world, that's nothing. However, there has been a bridge here since at least 1095. That is when the first bridge has documented to have been there. However, even the documents and even the historians acknowledge it's probably there long before that. This is the way into Logroño on the Camino de Santiago. Across the bridge, up the stairs, or the ramp behind me, and then off into the Casco Antiguo that way. You know, and it's interesting to me because pilgrims have been coming across that bridge for literally 1,000 years, or more than 1,000 years probably, to head to the Cathedral of St. James, which, you know, that's just a level of history and religiosity that's hard for us to fathom in the United States. That is alive and well here in Spain and Europe, because it was right there across this way that they crossed.
I have to admit that seeing the bridge and the pilgrims cross over it, and knowing that this was the Rio Ebro, the bridge that St. James was praying on when Mary appeared to him, was a bit sad for me, because I couldn't walk across it myself. I kinda knew then that one day I'd have to return to finish my Camino de Santiago. I hadn't intended on visiting the bullring while I was in Logroño. It was out of the way and it really wasn't the point of my expedition here, but my walk took me in that direction, so I figured I might as well go and check it out.
You know, bull rings are supposed to be emblematic of Spain, quintessential Spain, the core of Spain's culture. You know, they're supposed to withstand the test of time because they have the performance has withstood the test of time. Hundreds of years, even in its modern form, hundreds of years more before that. And it distresses me to see plazas like this one here in Logroño be turned into an event center, an inside ring where even a nocturna is not a true nocturna because it's under fluorescent light. So they have seats, you know, as though it's a stadium as opposed to the concrete benches that are normal in the bull rings. And this is a second-class ring in a provincial capital. And if these go this way, then there's no telling how long it is until they infect the third-class rings and the first-class rings. In fact, the first-class ring in San Sebastian is already a bull ring like this one, enclosed seats. It's hard to fill the arena up, but it's used for other things besides the bull ring, which Madrid is too, as is the Plaza Real in La Línea de la Concepción, a third-class ring. But it just doesn't sit right with me that they're turning them into event centers that happen to hold bullfights, as opposed to Plaza de Toros that also hold events.
At the heart of Logroño's Casco Antiguo is the Concatedral de Santa María de la Redonda. It's called a co-cathedral because the cathedral is the seat of a diocese or an archdiocese in the Catholic Church, and the diocese here has two other cathedrals in Rioja. Since a little after 1095, a church has been here to support the community and the pilgrims that pass through. Over time, that church was gradually replaced, eventually by this one, and it was granted the status of co-cathedral in 1959. In one of the naves on the right-hand side is an image of the Virgin of the Pillar, the primary patroness of the country of Spain. This is the Marian apparition that supposedly appeared to James as he was praying on the Ebro River in Zaragoza. This image is a reproduction, as the original image sits in the cathedral in Zaragoza, but that doesn't take away from its importance to the people here in Logroño. There are also images of San Fermin and San Saturnino, the patron saints from Pamplona and Navarre. These are gifts from the archdiocese over there, and I thought it was interesting they were included. After my day of walking and seeing all these churches in the bull ring, I decided I needed to grab some dinner, and for some reason, that needed to be pizza. Fortunately, I saw the perfect spot when I was walking in from the bus station. Alright, don't come at me. I've been craving pizza for like a week.
Last day in Logroño, travel/rest day. If I haven't gone over that, I'm doing travel/rest day, explore the city day, travel/rest day, explore the city day to help my knee get better. Headed to breakfast. It's quite cool and overcast out. I must look quite the character with a brown hat, bright red and blue pants, but don't have the knee brace on either. Trying to get that better. I'll put it on when I go to the bus, so probably not much to do today, but still gonna try to record it on my way to Bellorato.
Even though I only had a day here, I really enjoyed my time in Logroño, and I wonder what it would be like to come back during the annual feria. There was no time to dwell on that, however, as it was another day, another bus ride, off to Bellorato. So that's it for part 1 of my second week on the Camino de Santiago. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please like the video, hit the subscribe button, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss a single thing coming to you from the adventure across the world. Also, go check out my Instagram at JRTVoyage and Threads at JRTVoyage and Snapchat, you guessed it, at JRTVoyage. You can also check out my Facebook page, Jack Rogers Author, where I share my articles, my blog posts, my calls for adventure, all that kind of stuff. Hope to see some of you join me in Morocco and Iraq, but if not, see you guys on the road.